Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 82 of Orchid Bay, our vanilla city Skylines build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Glad you guys enjoyed the prison last week, and we had a fantastic name. Shellshank Prison, courtesy of the Hogfather, by far and away one of the best name suggestions we've ever had. Super good. But now we have Shellshank Prison on the outskirts of Sharon, which is very nice, isn't it? And between then and now, we also had a live stream where we redeveloped Olive Square into a more kind of high-risey condo development. There's a hotel here, lots of plazas, some very nice sort of pathway designs keeping people walking. Kind of got rid of all the roads and the cars and made it all pedestrian friendly. There's some great elevation over here as well. Lots of people walking around, so thank you for hanging out on the live streams. Glad you guys continue to enjoy our banter after a year and a half of building Orchid Bay. But what we're going to do in today's episode is actually head back over here. So this is near our oil plant. We've also got the big shopping and stadium complex over here as well on the edge of town. And it's actually a comment we had last episode as well from Davers in the comments. We haven't really done a health complex for Orchid Bay before. So that's what we're going to do today. Big private healthcare complex on the edge of town here. Basically nestled just on the edge of the countryside with great access to all networks. And shout out to this little basic interchange that's still doing a job all these hours later. It's wonderful to see, isn't it? Really cute on this, nice and easy to put together. But anyway, let's turn our attention toward this, shall we? So, got a cute space to work with today. So let's first of all start placing down some roads. So the building I think we're going to have as kind of our, I guess, main hospital, if you want to call it that, is going to be the Japanese one. So we come into our content creator stuff. It is this one here, the General Hospital, which comes from the Modern Japan DLC, which is a really good one if you don't have it. You also get a ton of towers and kind of smaller Asian looking buildings with Modern Japan. Great pack. So that's not too bad there at all, is it? A little more subtle, I think, than the vanilla hospitals, isn't it? I think it is. But I don't just want this to be kind of the main complex, if you like. So I'm going to push this hill back a little bit too. I think we will factor in this hill to the build as well. What I'd love to have is also a lake here as well. So we'll do some more kind of poor man's water sources. But also I think a little walking trail through the hills would be quite nice for the hospital, just to maybe encourage patients going through maybe a little bit of sort of physical therapy or some rehab and stuff and want to get them walking again. You know, get outside and walk through the woods would be a cool idea. So I want to make a sort of a larger complex out of this by piecing buildings together, of course. So I also want to put the crematorium down, which I realise is a little bit morbid, but this thing does not look like a crematorium and definitely has some kind of, I guess, like modern hospital vibe to it, doesn't it? So I really like this one. We're going to have this in here. I'd also like to make the space around it quite walkable as well. So you can imagine you're kind of walking from wing to wing. Maybe one's for, I don't know, general admission, even though it's a private complex, so you probably wouldn't get general admission there, but maybe one can be sort of, pediatrics and oncology. So you're kind of moving between different wings of the hospital, if you like, is the thought process here. So let's bring another road behind here, and I think I'd also like the regular med clinic in here as well, because it's quite a nice asset. Let's also give a road behind this one as well. Looks like we can possibly feed that up there. And then we'll get med clinic that in there as well, which is alright. Not too bad, is it? I think create little alleyways around here now. And then I would like some surface painter knocking around in here as well. So why don't we go for there as well. Yeah, just basically fill up all that space where it makes sense. And I wouldn't mind having a little bit of green space saved maybe. Why don't we go ahead and just get some oaks in here? Something like that's quite nice, isn't it? Let's actually give them an entrance into the hospital as well. So probably just off of here, I reckon, actually. We'll go for some tree lining. I'd like this to be quite a, even though it's kind of like a private healthcare facility in the sense that you actually have to pay to be treated here, would also like it to be quite private from just a visual point of view. Sort of private access roads, lots of fencing and trees around it so you can't really see into it, if you like, is the sort of vibe I want to create. We got that there. That's quite nice. I'm pretty on board with that. We'll go ahead and get some, I don't know, silver birches. Silver birches seem like quite a nice medical tree, don't they? Quite relaxing. We'll have that there. I love some car parking configurations opposite this as well. So let's use our wide sidewalks. I think we'll actually use wide sidewalks everywhere where it's not a median. So all of this and that can become wide sidewalk, I think. And then let's create some car parking configurations. So we'll do rows of 11. It should allow us to accommodate some new designs. So we'll do the smaller parking lots. No, it's actually, I guess we want to do 10, don't we, really? So we'll redraw that. I suppose actually we could just back that up, couldn't we? That would also work. Give us some slightly different shaped car parking. I think it's very nice to have car parking in vanilla these days, but it can be quite easy, I think, to get into the same habits of placing them down in the same configurations all the time. Whereas different angles and different repetitions can, I think, help just keep it fresh, I think. So it's going to be some cottonwoods here in the middle. And we'll get some smaller bushes around here too, maybe a couple of roadies. Like everything to be quite landscape today, I think. We got some nice little roadie patterns in here. And then we can have that there. I'll probably keep this pattern running on a couple of different sides of the hospital as well, I think. We do have a bus line coming through here. Who are you? You are the Moreland Sport over to Clausia, which is no longer called Clausia. It's now called Carroll, isn't it? This bus line's not doing too bad. It's saving 81% of car trips, which is nice, although we could argue there's maybe a touch too many vehicles on the line. None of them are really full. So let's bring the budget slider down a bit. Let's go for like probably 10 is always needed, I think, for that one. And you are stopping there, are you? I think you are. Yeah. Well, why don't we just drag these stops back up then? Maybe stop here instead so you're a little closer to the hospital. And then just off of this bus stop, I'd like people to be able to access the complex. So we'll have a little walking pathway there. And we'll probably extend this up here as well, but we'll see what starts to fill this space. So, trim off those frames. I'm pretty happy with that configuration right now. It's not too bad. There is, however, quite a few more medical assets I'd like to include in this, including childcare and elder care. And probably a sauna in the gym as well. The pool would also be quite welcome. Alongside the high capacity medical helicopter depot, which I don't think we've really used yet, have we? I don't think we have this one down. We put one in the naval base. I'm pretty sure we didn't we? I feel like we've used one of these larger capacity assets. Orchid Bay's just it's so bloody big now, I forget where everything is. I'm pretty sure we used a high capacity helicopter depot somewhere, didn't we? I genuinely cannot remember where it is. Was it over in Lotus, was it? I think that's the first time I've actually forgotten where we've put an asset just because of the size of Orchid Bay now. It could be anywhere, who knows where it is. Oh, was it over here? No, I thought it was over here, but it wasn't, was it? Yeah, unusual. No idea. I don't know where it is. Cool, so I'm happy with that. We probably will include this here, but it doesn't need to be here for right now. So I mentioned I wanted a pool, didn't I? So I'd also like, can we, oh, we can't line up out the center. Now that is going to annoy me. So what we are going to do here actually is just realign the grid, because I would like a median road to face the little sort of statue here, but I need to realign the grid. So I want to come out of grid snapping and align it about there. Also delete this one as well, because that's going to interfere. About there I should do. And just draw that roughly across. And then my median will align with it, and then I can just reconnect everyone in. Cool. So now I have that road facing up toward the crematorium, which we will pretend is a pediatrics wing or something. Because it's a little bit morbid to have I guess we could pretend it's the morgue, I guess, couldn't we? It doesn't have to always be a treatment centre. There are morgues present in hospitals, I suppose. So pretend it's the morgue or something. Not that it matters. I'm rambling now. Yeah, so I want the lake here. So we're going to have to do the same configuration we did over here by the Cougar World headquarters with the sunken water pump. And then find a way to hide the pumping station as well. Which might be a little bit tricky, but we should be able to do it. So let's start digging down a little bit. And we'll have our water pump quite deep. A water outlet, I guess. And then I suppose we're going to have this flowing as a lake, aren't we? Or at least a little bit of a stream, which might be quite nice, actually. And then I need to make quite a deep hole for the water pump to go into, because I want it totally submerged by water. Which this height here, let's just check that, yeah, as long as it's below the line, it should work. At least get fully hidden, anyway. So, I don't want this to be a massively deep lake. Almost like a bit of a sort of landscaping feature as opposed to a natural body of water, if you like. So, let's grab our fresh water outlet. As long as he's on the very bottom layer. Let's see if you can go. Go a touch deeper than that, because remember when we set up that other one, it was always nice to have it deeper than we needed. We'll have that in there, and then we'll set the actual height of the lake that we want to be. Let's go for... That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 6. Yeah, 6 contour lines deep, I think. So let's also create the frame of what I want this to look like as well. So, do we want more parking here? What distance is that? 400? I think we do. Then we'll have a little bit more parking on the front of the hospital. Let's just correct this so the road can come back in properly. Cool. And then we'll base our frame off of this. So it can come through here. We'll have some more buildings over this side of the complex. It can connect in with this as well. Not bothered about shattered grid here. It's okay. So that should be okay. So let's go ahead and start terraforming all this interior out to that layer. What happens if we just totally encircle the pump actually? Does that? I guess it'll work, won't it? I suppose it will. Let's also make a little crack in the road network as well, where one section of it will become bridge, probably there. And then let's push this little layer now as a stream, where hopefully we can weave some walking pathways to it. And that will eventually fill up and drain away, so the fountain pump continues. If you're on PC, just get extra landscaping tools and get the water source feature. You save yourself this massive hassle. This is definitely the vanilla way of doing it. But once this fills up, we should then have a pretty convincing lake. Wouldn't mind actually, perhaps a touch of historical bridge, although how fair you're going to play, not entirely sure. Cool, so now that's pumping out. Let's go ahead and put the pump back in. Again, as long as it's not quite below the waterline there, is it? Let's go ahead and terraform that down a touch more. Essentially just want it to be totally hidden. Cool. So we can get rocks and continue to terraform around here just to hide. This lip here. Like that to some effect. We could get a little stone bridge in like that. I think it'd be quite fancy, but I think it's appropriate, isn't it? Kind of helps decorate the grounds a little bit. I think we'll keep that in actually. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. So we've got our lake in now. We could possibly soften up the sides, but I think Detail and Egg will decide what happens with this. We got some trees around it and whatnot. So definitely want some more buildings in here. Let's go ahead and keep drawing out some more of our wide sidewalk frames. At this point here, let's go ahead and grab our sports hall and gymnasium. We'll have it here. And then just wrap up this edge of the facility with a little bit of parking road. Yeah, that's happy. Maybe a touch too close to the road there for the sort of privacy vibes I had in mind, but a tree line will help hide that. Yep, we can have the gymnasium over there. Nice little walk over. So let's return back to our main hospital here. Let's see if we're going to leave a one tile gap there. I wouldn't mind maintaining that aesthetic all the way around, and we can probably do some detailing through there as well. Maybe some tree linings or something. So at the back of this, we'll have our childcare centre, which will sit here. And we'll probably stick a playground with it of some kind. Why don't we also do some dirt roads and see if we can finagle in with the new kind of kid parks. We'll go to tourism and leisure and we'll grab... Let's see, which ones do we want? Probably the smaller ones. We'll have 2 of those. Of probably not the outdoor gym. Let's do... Yeah. Little playground, and then we'll do the tiny playground. And then I'd love a larger park asset, probably small playground, I think, in that regard. Something like that. Don't think that's too bad. Although, I would love to possibly explore the idea of some different orientation here. So let's have that there, and then I'd like... Again, I can do this, I just need to delete the child healthcare centre first. Let's have that on there. Then I want my playground there. Deleting it will remove the connection, of course. Then we can put our child healthcare centre back in. And then that little one there should make it connected, and then with a little bit of clever path work, let's also snap into the grid. We can hopefully make it look like it's one kind of larger playground set around the back of the child healthcare centre. And maybe even a park life one in there. That looks like it's going to sit and fit, doesn't it? Oh, it does indeed. Yes, please. So we'll have that one in there as well. And then, for some reason, I think a little line of live oaks will go quite nicely around this. Then this would obviously quite clearly be the pediatrics wing, wouldn't it? Some sort of child play centres outside to keep them happy and healthy and whatnot while they undergo treatment here. A nice little sort of sub-wing of the private healthcare centre there, isn't it? Pretty happy with that. Some people taking the buses now as well, which is nice. You okay? And you will... You'll never cross here, will you? I wonder if we just want to possibly explore having an elevated walkway over here. That pathway there isn't going to go anywhere. I guess we could cross it over into Fields of Golden. Have an elevated walkway over the highway. There's a little bit of pedestrian traffic through this road. It's not like there's no one here, you know. So I think that's what we'll probably do, actually. Go on to road length and angle, and we'll bring this up by 3 meters. Cool. We'll have this here. And then we do have power lines in the way, which are pretty defunct over here, actually. They are purely for decoration. But sure, let's cross over here. And then we'll bring this into the same configuration. And then we'll have this connect around the back onto that road there. That should encourage some extra people walking across. That's extremely dangerous. But I think we've just got to increase the height of the power line there, haven't we? Because I don't want to lose the power lines. You know, I definitely love the aesthetic of power lines flowing alongside and through highway and country. Very much sort of service industry detail, I suppose. I do enjoy it. But I reckon we can make a bit more of a song and dance out of this big walkway that we've got going on to get people back across the highway. We'll see. Anyway, we'll see if people use it. They should eventually. And you can also come up here now. Look at this. So, return to more medical assets. So, I want the community pool and the yoga garden. Seem like a good one to have together, don't they? Why don't we explore another little kind of side facility here, maybe? Let's do road length here too. Get these kind of tight little boxes that we've got going on. Let's have this up here. And let's have a look at the size of what we got to play here. So Yoga Garden, community pool. Slightly shallower than the other one, aren't they? So that's okay. I reckon we can just tidy this one up. It would connect to where I want it to. There we go. Yeah. And then pretty much around the whole medical facility, I'd like pathways linking them all together. And just to help encourage patients to walk around the facility rather than driving, I guess. Oh, I don't mind this at all so far. Quite nice. This is not remotely filling up, which is fine. As long as it doesn't start flooding, we're okay. Cool. So we got a little lake here in the middle of the medical center. I'm happy with this. So I would really like to include that big medical high capacity helicopter depot, because it's not going to go in this build. It's probably not going in the city now because we've got like 2,000 nodes left to use. So why don't we explore kind of embanking it a little bit upon this hillside here? I think it'd be... Oh, let's not do that though. There we go. Yeah, let's explore having it here. Choose that wide brush too. We'll do more terraforming than we need and then blend it back in so it looks relatively natural. Something like that seems pretty cool. I'll show that back as well. We did do a little bit of terraforming there. So we'll probably just have it run along here. Now I'm happy for that quite harsh layer to develop between the helicopter depot and the rest of the site here. So if we were to have you up there, I think I can enjoy that. Yeah, I think I can. And then I'd definitely like for them to have kind of quick access back into the actual hospital. We'll have that there, and then this one looks like that's already pretty naturally sloped for as it is, isn't it? We'll just help it along anyway. Not too much change in the topography there, is there? And then what was this one we did? That was 200. Let's do the same here as well then. And then they just got quick access back into the hospital facility there, I think. And then that gives us a pretty kind of sprawling complex there, doesn't it? And people are now using the pathway back into across the fields of Golden as well. Wonderful. That's less people walking across the highway in section here, isn't it? Which, by the looks of it, it is already siphoning a little bit of pedestrian traffic back over there, which is great. Fantastic. But yeah, that gives us a pretty substantial complex that just needs a little bit of detailing now. So let's move into that time lapse. Like I said, I want to get some walking pathways up in the hills here, kind of a bit of rehabilitation. Give the whole complex a bit of a fence and kind of private gated vibe. Some more parking, some gazebos around the lake, and more kind of general, just sort of park infrastructure to sit and reflect in the grounds of the private hospital. And some signage and whatnot, and generally spruce it up in and around the space that it occupies. But pretty happy with how it looks from here, to be honest. It's pretty cute, isn't it? Very nice indeed. Otherwise, let's detail up the Ego Care private medical facility. And then we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a little detail review, shall we, of our little medical centre over here. So just off of the interchange now we have lots of pathwork, which is getting some fair bits of use, which is nice. It's good to see people using both of the bus stops, because this line was pretty quiet, and we did actually reduce the number of buses, didn't we? So let's just have a little look at that line now. Yeah, it's much more sensible, isn't it? Just bringing that funding down a little bit. There's at least some 4 buses now, which is good. And we've got 64 people waiting in Carroll, which hopefully these should be pretty well tended to. Yeah, maybe another bus or so. Do 2 more, just to clear that backlog. So either way, let me turn off my time of day. Yes, so let's have a look at the Megacore Clinic. I think is what we'll call it. Anyway, so yes, we have our buses here that allow people to stop in and around our medical centre. Dropped in an info booth, almost like a bit of a sort of a entrance point really. Maybe you can stop here and ask which part of the hospital it is you need to go to before parking up and walking into a building. You receive directions from there. Our little sort of pediatrics unit is really cool now. Lots of little tiny people dancing around, having the time of their life after their treatment, of course. And then actually I had the perfect space here for one of the ponds, so I thought another water feature would go down rather well indeed. So this now sits over here, which is very cute, isn't it? And then we merge into this big walking pathway, which has now been wrapped up the hill in various different configurations. There is no one using it, unfortunately. I did actually hook it into the suburb here at the top of the Baked Plateau, but no one's coming down it yet, which is a bit of a shame. So maybe we need some park life assets along this track to get it to use, but just wanted that kind of like private, almost nature reserve at the back of the hospital, which was a nice way, I think, to use the hillside. I think sort of taking it in from the grander scheme looks quite nice now, doesn't it? So we got all that in there. There's kind of 4 different connection points onto it. A little bit more parking here where we had it, and then some roadie patterns in between those spaces that we had left to use. And then we do have people now walking kind of in around the concrete space around the back of the hospital, which is always nice. You can imagine people getting into sort of back doors and, you know, using different entrances around different buildings here to get into them. So very exciting. I always really enjoyed piecing together sort of cohesive space like this since we got those concrete surface painters. Of course, the quintessential statue of Jerry Sr. immortalised in the hospital grounds, of course, with his statue. And then we do have some benches located around various sides of the lake shore for viewing and calming purposes, of course. And we'll cross over a little European stone bridge. Of course, we have a big sort of rock retaining wall here that separates the helicopter depot with a little bit of a fence around it. Imagine this would be a little bit more of a secure building with the helicopters and whatnot sort of coming and going, not particularly open to sort of public right of way. So a fence to help respect that vibe. And then we'll come back down here into a little roundabout that was just designed in to hold a gazebo, is it called, isn't it? And then another gazebo over here as well from Park Life. With some more of those rock retaining walls. The water is a little faster than I would have liked, so if you do fall in here during your hospital walk, there is a very strong chance you will be sucked into the irrigation system of Orchid Bay. So relax at your own risk. I think is the take-home point from sort of enjoying the water side here. Because it's not going to be a happy end if you go downstream. More gazebos and plant detail and rock detail around the grounds, with little bird baths and benches and places to sit and sort of take in all the countryside scenery around here, and all the tree lining and the fence lining has made it seem a lot more sort of rural, hasn't it? Sort of secluded and quiet, like is the vibe I really wanted to kind of introduce here. And then there's loops back, of course, to our gymnasium where the pathways for the bus station come back in, which are getting used as well. But nice to integrate a little bit of public transport into a big sort of medical facility like this. And I'm really happy with how it sits in. I love as well that you can see that big mall from here, and even some of the downtown towers right in the distance there too, plus the top of Mad Mountain, which is really cool. I always love being able to see other parts of Orchid Bay from other parts of Orchid Bay. It's a nice little happy accident that I think has arisen from the city. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for today. Let's thank you all so much for watching. Likes, comments, and shares below are always massively appreciated as they help our channel to grow on our march to 100,000 subscribers. Thank you again for continued support CS1 content. Glad you guys are enjoying Orchid Bay. We are in the last stretch now. Big shout out as well to Tilly Davenport for the idea of building the medical centre for Orchid Bay. Was a build, honestly, that I kind of slipped my mind. I wasn't planning to do it. And this little hillside spot here, just off of the highway, in a kind of a more countryside area of Orchid Bay, was the perfect spot for it. So super happy with it. Hope you have enjoyed it. Massive shout out to all the patrons supporting the channel. If you're interested in supporting the work we do here, links down to Instant Gaming and Patreon are the best way to do that, where there's Patreon podcasts, early access, previews, polls and other things you can get involved with should you need a little bit more egg in your life. But please do enjoy today's cinematics, but otherwise I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much again for watching Orchid Bay, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.